Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pyramid Science Foundation's live stream. I'm Lisa Richards, and we have Charm and Charlie Zeese with us as always.
All right. I cannot believe how great that intro is, Lisa. My
Thank you.
my congrats to you for doing that. That's
Oh,
great.
thank you. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I probably scared the bejeebers out of some people. I didn't realize the volume was so loud on it.
Well,
Was it
that's
loud on your
okay.
end?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's start with some announcements before we bring our amazing guest on. Do you have any for today, Charlie?
Just some updates. I've been in research mode. I'm going to be putting out a video maybe over the weekend on I've been finding this powers of phi geometry that I found in the Gothic cathedrals. I found it also in a whole bunch of ancient, not ancient, but several centuries old wooden churches that are in Central and Eastern Europe. So I'm going to be talking about that. I've also been spending a lot of time. I'm trying to put together a fairly large documentary on fluid dynamics, and I'm taking an online course on YouTube to learn fluid dynamics now. And so there's going to be some really fascinating things to relate to that, but it's going to be a pretty major project. But it's I hope to have that done in the next 60 days as well. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm doing research, and I'm going to start to put that out to you in pieces as I get it finished.
Awesome, awesome. You're always busy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be busy as well. One thing that we're doing differently, and I haven't even told Charlie this yet, but our live streams will no longer automatically be posted after the live stream ends. The video will actually be uploaded to Rumble and YouTube at a later time that day after I add the captions to them. That'll help people with hearing impairment. I know we've gotten a few different requests from people to do that. So all of our videos will have captions from now on. So that'll be pretty cool.
Oh,
So
wow. Very
yeah,
good.
and if you check back later, later on in the day, I can't promise a time or anything, but if you miss the live stream, you'll have to check back later in the day. But if you're signed up for our Rumble notifications and YouTube notifications, you should get those when the video is posted. And then another thing I did, I was working all morning on revamping the Pyramid Science Foundation website. I haven't even finished with it, but it looks a lot nicer than it did before, and it looked nice before. But the Russian research has finally been added to the Pyramid Science Foundation website. I've been meaning to do that forever. The website itself, along with the research for the Pyramid Science Foundation, has been embellished, and all the important links can now be found on our link tree. Um, Research, newsletter, membership, donations, and the event calendar links can now be found in the descriptions below each of our live streams and the videos that we post as well. And so just stay tuned. We'll have more updates on that as more work continues on that. So
Okay.
let's bring on our amazing guest. We're so excited to have her. We actually met Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Welcome. We actually met Michelle in Allentown, Charlie and I did. Let me do a little intro for her real quick. Let's dive into the fascinating world of cellular regeneration, where we explore the innovative X39 patch technology and its profound impact on health and wellness. This groundbreaking solution stimulates the body's natural ability to produce healthy cells, enhancing repair and empowering individuals to take control of their well being. Michelle Blais is a graphic website designer, podcast host of The Wealth Within Us, and holistic health advocate. Michelle joins us today to share her health journey and the tools she used to recover. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. You and I we were all, me, you, and Charlie were talking about how it's always important for people to share how they got to a certain point in their life. And why don't we start there? Share your journey. What happened to you and how did you get to where you're at now?
So I would say my journey kind of begins back when I was younger. So I had always had problems with my periods, right? And I was diagnosed with PCOS at a very young age at like 16 and was put on birth control pills and kind of just never it was like one of those things that you're like, ugh, I got to do this. And then you get older and like, ugh. And especially I think once I started getting in my early 30s, I had already been frustrated enough with sort of the modern medical system, just with a few little things that I had going on. For example, I'd had this imbalance. It almost felt like water in my ear. And I'd had it for almost 2 months. It was driving me crazy. And I think they wanted to put me on antibiotics. The first time didn't work. And then the second time, I was like, are you kidding? Because, I was getting yeast infection from antibiotics for whatever reason. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore because I'm driving and you just feel dizzy all the time. So I finally just did my own research. And all it took was I had a hot and a cold compress and I would switch every 20 minutes. And I did that off and on throughout the day. And within 2 days, it was gone. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
like, wow. I mean, here I had gone for how long? 2 months with no help, and then I ended up solving this on. So I think that really sort of spiraled my always interest in healing naturally. So that really inspired me to go further. So then I'm like, well, I want to get off these birth control pills, and I'm like, they just made me feel terrible and all this other stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to heal this PCOS, even though they kind of tell you it's not curable or whatever. So I began my own journey with the intention that I'm going to heal this. And it's funny because when you put out things like that, it's amazing how people come to you. Like you don't even know where they come from, but all of a sudden these people start coming into your life. And the people that started really coming into my life were energy light workers. A lot of people who had did Reiki, specific massage therapies, and sort of like meditation and journeying and that type of thing. So over that course of time, through a lot of energy work and my own internal, I would say my own internal belief system, I within about 2 years I had healed myself of PCOS and have been free from that ever since to this day. So that was pretty amazing. And then along the way, I'd gotten a Reiki master certification. And after that, I just always looked at my own healthcare differently. And I guess you could say I more took charge of my own health rather than putting it so much in the hands of other people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We,
So yeah. So like I said, I got into like essential oils and just was always looking for something. And because as you said, I'm a graphic and website designer, I had certain clients and they knew that I was into all this stuff. And I had a client that I worked with very frequently, and she's the one that actually introduced me to the patches. So I ended up kind of starting using them. I didn't even know what I was doing, and I'll be the first to admit, I think after 2 weeks when I first started using them, I'm like, I give them away, and I'm like, I don't know if this is doing, but I was kind of in my ear.
oops. Have we lost her?
I don't know. She
I
froze.
I think we have. Well,
Michelle, if you can hear us, you may have to log off and log back in again. You froze up. Yeah.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we'll chit chat for a minute. I will tell you that I mean what Michelle just described is certainly you know it's very much in line with the way Carol and I pursue healthcare as well. I mean, we've taken charge of that, and we don't really look to outsiders to do that for us. You're back.
I'm back. I'm back. I
Okay.
don't know if it's my connection or what, but yeah. So anyway, I started using the patches. Like I said, I gave them away, and very recently after that, I had someone contact me about helping them with website design, who have now become incredible people, and I now do website design and help them out. But I really learned how to use them, and this is what they look like. They just kind of look like one of those little circle band-aids, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And there's a little, and the best part of it, where all the magic happens, is in that little white circle. And that's where the patented wavelength is, the patented frequency, and the crystal salts, amino acids. So there's no drugs, no chemicals in there. It actually just uses your own body's light. But once I started using them, within about 3 to 4 weeks, I noticed that this brain fog had kind of lifted, where I felt like I was going through the Rolodex in my head all the time, searching, what was that word? What was that thing? You kind of go through that little Rolodex in your head.
Yep.
And my recall was just so much faster. And then I had noticed I had carpal tunnel from probably being on the computer, and I had a ganglion cyst here. And just I think within about a month or two, like those things had just gone away. And it was so subtle. It was kind of nice. It was like just these subtle things just kept happening. And my body just kept improving and regenerating. My skin, like just the quality of my skin got incredibly better. And just noticeable things in my energy and just overall health and wellness. And I was fairly healthy when I first started, but just improvements all the time, improvement in any kind of joint thing. Like I said, especially my wrists, because it does help repair tissue and build cartilage and all of those good things that our bodies are supposed to do. But that
Yeah.
was pretty much how I got started and how I found this amazing technology. And I just was like, I have to share this with people. People need to know about this because this is truly, you know, talking about pyramids. I think these things were all made for us to heal ourselves through sound and
Oh, sure.
frequency and all that kind of stuff. And this just, it just helps improve that tremendously. Like it kind of like ups the game on the whole thing, I think. Whereas I like to tell people that because it's working on a frequency level, I think it's waking people up on this subtle level as well when you're using the patches.
Mm-hmm. So, can you go through for us the basic method of action, or what's actually going on inside the body from these stem cells? Is it stimulating stem cell growth? I'm going to say this for the audience in the context of procedures that are out there. Carol has had one of them where, as a dentist, her arm was up for 40 something years doing this, and she was starting to get pains.
Mm,
And she had stem cells that were injected from, well, they were kind of harvested from her coccyx and then injected into a specific location in her spine, and that did a great job for her. So I know that stem cell technology works. I'm just curious how this works. So, with that as background.
So it's definitely a little bit different, whereas obviously we're using a patch. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that there's no stem cells in this little patch, and I'll kind of peel this off again. But
Yeah.
so there's no stem cells actually in this patch. What this patch does is, if you think about like, well, what's sort of making this patch go? What's igniting it? What's starting it? What's activating it? So once you put it on your skin, now the body's own heat and light will activate this patch. So now it's like turning that patch on. And what happens is there's a, as I said, there's patented wavelength in that patch. That patented wavelength sends a frequency up to your
Okay.
brain. So the reason it's patented is because it's a specific wavelength. It has a specific target in mind. So
Okay.
in the case of the X39 patch, that specific target is to elevate GHK-Cu, which is GHK copper peptide in the body. So it's going to activate, tell your body to activate the GHK-Cu in our body. And that in turn, if you just even research GHK-Cu, you'll see the plethora of benefits. But one of the big thing it does is it activates our stem cells again. So it activates our stem cells to start producing. So we obviously all have stem cells right now. If we didn't have stem
Right.
cells, we would not be alive. And when we're babies, so like when an egg and a sperm meet, I like this always little story of when an egg and a sperm meet, that creates stem cells. And then the baby, while it's in the womb, those stem cells, and once the baby's born, the stem cells downregulate, which basically means it's not going to grow, the baby's not going to grow another leg or another arm or something like that. So the stem
Mhm.
cells start to down regulate, but they keep going at a pretty high rate because obviously, kids, I mean, from birth to a year, a baby can just look so much different. But as we get into about our 20s and into our 30s, that stem cell production really starts to taper off and it
Right.
starts to decline. And by the time we're in our 60s, we've 60s, maybe 65, we've lost 80 to 90% of that stem cell. So that's why older people have a harder time recovering from, say, a fall or a cold, or their immune systems aren't as great as they once were. And that's because that stem cell activity, which are the repair cells of our body, in fact, stem cells are the only cells that can become another cell in our body. So I always like the example that if you have a cut somewhere, well, how does that cut heal? Well, a stem cell becomes a skin cell. and then it heals that injury. So what we're doing is we're using our own body to trigger to produce more. Like, hey, start producing more stem cells. Your body needs this for repair and regeneration. The kind of rule of thumb that we like to give is about at least 1 month for every decade that you've been alive to get to like more of a consistent optimal repair and regenerate state. So for me, I'm 52, so that would be like 5 months. So within about 5 months of me consistently using this, now my stem cells are starting to become more optimal. And that repair and regeneration can start to happen. One of the very interesting things that I've learned about stem cells, and maybe what the difference between this and getting stem cells injected is, and why sometimes it's kind of like a one-shot deal. If your body has a lot of inflammation, so inflammation will eat up those stem cells. So now your body's working even harder, and your body's almost fighting the inflammation, because the inflammation is now, like I said, it's eating those stem cells, so it's slowing down your repair. Now you've got to produce more, even more than you needed, because of the inflammation. So I always love to tell people that, because obviously, if you're going to use a stem cell patch or an injection or anything else, you want the best, sort of like the best return on your investment. So
Sure.
that's a good thing to keep in mind. But
So it's kind of like a tuning fork, right? I mean, it has a vibration, a frequency in it, and I'm sure all of us have seen it before. As an example, if you um, bang a tuning fork on this side of the room and there's another one over here that's not resonating at all, it will start resonating at the frequency of this tuning fork, right? And our body, as it ages, forgets that tune. So
yeah.
it's a reminder of that kind of.
And we have over 7,000 frequencies in our body. And what's nice about the patches is that they're specific frequencies. They're patented specific frequencies that target specific things. And the interesting thing too about when you start increasing your stem cells is that things that, a lot of times I feel like we don't know something's wrong until we're quite symptomatic about it.
Yeah,
And
you get used to the pain and you
yeah,
don't feel it really.
it's kind of, what do they call it? That, like the frog, and when you slowly
Oh,
boil the
yeah.
water, you just kind of get acclimated to whatever the issue is. So the nice thing about stem cells is that they're going to find and repair what's most critical at that time. So you may not even know, maybe you've got something going on with your liver. You're not feeling any symptoms, or you're ignoring those symptoms, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
But now you've got a tool in your pocket that's all natural, non-transdermal, no drugs, no chemicals, just using your own natural body and your own natural frequencies to heal and repair those things that we may not even know about.
Yeah, and we need tools like this now because of all the artificial, harmful frequencies in the environment around us now. It's messing with our electrical system, of the human body, and that's causing a lot of illness too. So this will, tools like this will help bring you back into balance and help your body heal like it was intended and designed to do in the first place.
Exactly. And it also works with, our acupressure system with the main meridian. So you'll get even more sort of bang for your buck if you put the patch on a specific acupressure. So say you have an issue. Say with our liver example, you have an issue with the liver. I always tell people, just look up, like, you can just quickly research what a liver acupressure point is and stick it on there. A lot of times we recommend, which I have one now, on the back of your neck, right below that top little knot on the top there, just right below that. That's a main governing meridian. So that's going to help balance the energy all throughout your body. So you're just kind of getting this general overall. But with even specific places on the body, you can get specific, you know what I mean? You can get even more sort of dialed in to whatever is going on.
So walk me through, if you could. Let's use an example. I cut my arm, and so I my body's going to begin this whole process of healing. Where would it go in the body to find a repository of stem cells to bring to that area to begin the healing process? Are those made in the bones? Where stem cells coming from?
That's a good question. I think our bodies we're constantly making cells. Like our body, we're just constantly using and shedding cells. What did they say that we every 7 years we regenerate almost your whole.
Oh yeah, some parts it's overnight. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think
So
I mean, like I said, I'm not a
stem cell do
doctor,
some
but
maybe stem cells just not have the same kind of mitosis process that a normal cell would. I don't know. I'm ignorant.
no,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've never had anybody ask me that, so that's a really good question. But
Well,
yeah,
see, I know, for example, that the T cells in your body, which are part of the whole immune process, they come from the bone marrow. So
hmm.
I'm just trying to think, where would we produce those? I
Yeah,
don't know.
we're actually in the body. Are we producing our stem
Yeah,
cells?
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm going to find that out for next time.
Okay, well, okay, no big deal. But
Yeah,
so they come here, and the frequency of the patches will assist in what way? How will they turn on replication of stem cells more rapidly, or do you know how
they'll
the
turn on the production
yeah,
of stem
okay,
cells. So you're going to produce more and more. So you're going to produce more stem cells, and the more stem cells you have, the more the more those cells can go out and heal and repair.
right, right, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause the T cells, this much I do know. I mean, the T cells come from the marrow. They're the ones who go out and find the problems in the body, and then they are the ones who contact maybe the stem cells to say, "Come on over here
hey, we
and
need help over here.
heal up this cut."
These cells
Yeah,
are there for immunity. They have a lot to do with your body's immune system.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
So,
Sounds like
yeah.
you might. Are could you speak? It sounds like you might be cutting out.
Am
Let's
I
see.
cutting out?
Now you're fine. Now you're
Oh,
fine.
okay. Okay.
Okay, there was a
Yeah, I
little.
was just going to say people are just tired. They're tired of being sick and tired. It's nice to offer solutions for people now.
It really is.
But I think there's so many things like this going on. Some people kind of take everything you say with a grain of salt. They don't really trust anybody anymore because they see all the lies unraveling around us as well. And we can share through our experiences the truth of what happened to us, but
Right.
sometimes that doesn't even stick with them because they think, they don't know who to trust anymore. So,
Yeah.
the hardest part is watching friends and family suffer when we know that they shouldn't. They don't need to be, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I always tell people, go out and do your own research on it. So my website is patched light, PATCHED light.com. And I actually have the patent up there. There's a lot of clinical research and studies, and there's a lot of videos on the science behind it as well. So
Hmm.
it's well documented, well researched, multiple patents. I think they have about almost 100 patents right now, and just as many, actually more clinical studies and trials. And there is a whole line of patch. This is sort of the foundation patch because
Hmm.
the foundation of our body is really healthy cells. If our liver is not healthy or
That's
a
right.
kidney, we want to go and we want to repair those cells. And it's really amazing for wound healing as well. We've had a couple of people that have had some kind of a surgery or something like that, and they're really struggling healing those wounds. So an
Yeah.
increase in your stem cell activity is definitely going to boost that up, not to mention just your overall feeling and well-being. And it's kind of like you said, if you're using frequency and you've got things in your body that are, I like to kind of look at it as like if you've got things that are out of frequency, it's like putting things back into harmony again. So, now you've got it off and now it's, back into balance.
And so many functions of your body rely on other things in your body to work properly for everything to function properly. You know what I mean?
And
Sure.
I think that's what our modern medical system overlooks is it we don't look at our whole body.
No.
Yeah.
You don't look at the body as a whole. I mean, just because you have a symptom doesn't mean like the symptom could be totally unrelated to what you think it is. Oh, I have this pain in my elbow, but maybe that pain in the elbow is caused by, something in my kidneys or something like that. Or a lot of it I've been learning is emotional, and I did do the whole emotion code workshop and training. And I've also learned that a lot of things are emotional. When I went through my whole time with PCOS and all the energy work, what I realized as well was that a lot of what I was eliminating was I was releasing toxic emotions, false beliefs, things like that that were stuck. And in my example, so say you're like a kid and like, oh, I don't want to grow up. I just want to be a kid. And maybe you're having now that's going to affect your sexual organs, your ovaries, your things like that. So now that's going to manifest as PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and things like that. So a lot of times we don't realize that just these emotions that we hang on to and sometimes fester, sometimes we don't even know about them, can
Well,
cause.
it's intentional the way that we were, our education that we were taught as we were growing up, because I think it's Bruce Lipton teaches that, what is it, 90% or 95% of the decisions you make in your life are based on your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And your subconscious is programmed within the first 7 years of your life. So why do we spend all of our lives training our conscious mind? It just doesn't make any sense, because everything is energy. And I think what it's going to come down to, I mean, eventually we won't even have to eat food. Everything is a frequency, right? And if we have the proper frequency, if I have an apple frequency and I listen to that, it's the same as giving my body that apple frequency by eating it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be
So,
going in a whole new direction.
yeah. So, Michelle, could you give us some? We actually have a friend in Omaha who has used these patches, as it turns out. Since I first met you, I
Oh, good.
realized that it's the same company, and she had some amazing successes with it in dealing with cancer. So, do you have any testimonials you can give on this product?
Try not to say just say the big C or something, or we'll get censored.
Well, I'll do another C word.
Okay.
Very recently, and this is just recently. We had a woman who, one of the women that also sells this is friends with. She's a hairdresser, and she ended up having hand surgery, pretty serious hand surgery. So they opened up her hand, and they did the surgery. After the surgery, she went to my friend Kathy, who's a massage therapist and also promotes the patches in her business. So she started using the patches after her surgery, and within about 3 weeks they had to open her hand back up. I think she got some kind of an infection or something, so they opened up her hand, and the surgeon noticed. He said to her afterwards, how did the cartilage get how did the cartilage grow in your hand since we opened it up 3-4 weeks ago? When that's one of the things that stem cells will do, it'll help build your tissues and build your cartilage. And it was so interesting that it was like from a surgeon and not even from a scan, that he could notice that the cartilage had already improved in that short of amount of time
Yeah.
within her hand.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
That's one of the big benefits. So a lot of people with knee pain and back pain and stuff like that, or especially bone on bone, so you can
Hmm.
help rebuild and regenerate that cartilage.
Yeah.
A lot of women suffer from varicose veins. So we had another woman, she put it on, it was a varicose vein on her leg, and she put one of our patches. She actually used a different patch in conjunction with this. So she used two of them. And what she noticed was that that vein, the foundation of that vein was starting to rebuild, and it was no longer bulging. It used to turn her toe would go numb and her toe would turn blue, and her toes stopped turning blue. And these are just like small examples. But yeah, if you go even onto my website, there's a lot of testimonials, a lot of video testimonials with people. We have cardiac surgeons that are now using them, a lot of chiropractors, just with tremendous results all around the body. And yes, with the big C as well. We've had a couple of people that have sent in scans, and 3 to 6 months later, you don't see those
Yeah.
markings on the scan. I won't say it, but yeah. But
Yeah.
definitely a lot of people with sleep, pain. And when you're not in pain, your body can heal a lot faster too. I mean, think about how much, if you're in
Oh,
pain,
sure.
just your cortisol spiking, and you're focusing on all these things, and it's just not a good way to, to really live. But yeah, we have had some really incredible story with people with MS. The one good friend of mine who has MS, I mean, her systems, or not systems, her symptoms have all but disappeared.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So I assume you have to put this patch right on the area, directly on the area that you're suffering from, or can you put it really anywhere and it will just
You
heal
can
or take care of
really you can really put it anywhere. The recommendations for general, if you're just like, I just want general overall health wellness, is at the back of the neck, right at the base of the neck, or underneath the belly button. Those are like the two biggest places, or on the back, like the lower back of your body in the center. And that way, you're
Oh,
getting
okay.
all, you're kind of getting that full energy flow of the whole body. But I do like to tell people, if you know you have a certain issue, why not look up the acupressure point and put it on?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like there's no hard and fast rules, but I think there's general rules that people can get better success. And definitely, if you're using, I would say if you're using anything, and in general, we should all stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So, keeping ourselves hydrated means we're keeping and we're flushing out. One of our other patches, we have a lot of naturopaths and functional medicine doctors that are using this technology. And she did a trial in her office. She was doing glutathione, the infusions of glutathione.
Sure. Sure.
And she did a little experiment in her office with the glutathione people, the patches versus the infusions. And she actually started to get better results with the patches. And I think the reason is, whenever we're doing these infusions, we're flooding the body, and it's kind of like a supplement. If you flood the body with something, like, you can't handle that. There's no way you can use it all. The body's got to get rid of whatever it doesn't need. The nice thing about when you're doing the patches is that there is no dosing. Your body's only going to use whatever of that frequency it needs. So it's like, well, today I need a lot more to jumpstart my stem cells or to jumpstart the glutathione in my body than I did yesterday. And the other amazing thing is that, there's three of us here. I don't even know how many people listening. You put a patch, it's going to do something different to every person because everybody's different. So what I have going on in my body, the lifestyle that I've led over the past 52 years, everything that has gone into who I am right now is different. So it's going to work with your own unique body rather than, you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
like a pill that's just going to kind of do the thing. So it's going to work differently in your body to heal
So
what you need to be healed and repaired.
so it's affecting your energy field as well. Does it like reach? Does it have a reach? Like, does it go beyond that and actually affect other people around you in a better way?
So what activates when you put the patch on, so you actually don't have to put it on. Like, I could put it on my t-shirt and I would still get activation. I think, like, the distance is a little bit too much. I think the recommendation is about 3 millimeters. So you can have it on your clothing and it can just be touching. And you don't even have to use it as the sticker, so to say.
Hmm.
You don't even have to stick it on. You can just place it somewhere. If I had it, maybe I wanted to put it on the back of my necklace. So a good example would be, you could put it on your pet. So on my dog, I'll put the patch, I'll stick it on the inside of her collar. Well, now that collar's up against her neck, so it's still touching her skin.
Okay. How long do you have to how long do you leave it on before you have to replace it?
So the recommendation is 12 hours on and then 12 hours rest. So 12 hours on and 12 hours rest. Or what I personally do, which I like to share, is I do, because I have a couple of different patches, so I'll do one every other day. But in the testing that we've done a lot of muscle testing on the patches just ourselves. About 12 to 18 hours, depending on the person, is about what we've found that they are active for.
So don't the frequencies remain in it though? Like, wouldn't it? You can't reuse it as it diminishes the frequency, so you have to keep continually putting another one on. I don't understand that, I
What
guess.
happens is with this white part, this is what breaks down. So
Okay.
it's like mesh, that crystal mesh. That's what breaks down.
Okay. Well, I have one of these things that I got for my dogs for flea and ticks a few years ago.
Hmm.
It was a little metal tag for their collar that was embedded with frequencies that deterred the fleas and ticks. And I was kind of leery when I got it. My dog would go out in the woods and come back with 5 or 6 ticks all over her face. And within 5 days, and it said it would take about 5 days to tune in with their body, their biofield. And within 5 days, there were no more ticks. I was just amazed.
Yeah,
So I wonder if they could do this technology, and make it more permanent so people don't have to
it's not
invest,
permanent.
as much money and make things more affordable for
Yeah.
people.
And I
I think
think
that's what people struggle with right now is, a lot of people are hurting for money and they don't have a lot of funds to do
Well,
stuff like this, but they would love to try it.
absolutely. And I think one of the other things is that rest is important too. It's like you're sending the signal and then you're resting and then you're sending the signal and then they're resting. So with the research that I've read is that rest part is actually important as well. So
Okay.
say you wanted to wear one to bed and you only slept 6 hours, you could, use it the next day. Maybe the next night, maybe you can use them like 2 nights in a row. And there's also obviously an income opportunity if you were like me and just found these to be fantastic and wanted to share them with other people.
got it.
We're all looking for residual income these days. And, why not do something, increase your health and your wealth at the same time? If I'm increasing my health, why
Sure.
not increase my wealth at the same time? We're all looking for something extra.
Now, Michelle, I know that there's more than one patch that's offered, one type. So can you give us just a general description of the different patches and how each
Yeah.
patch may do different things or not? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said, each one has its own targeted, patented frequency that's embedded in there. So this one that I'm wearing now is the X39, and this one is the cellular activation one where it helps to elevate the GHK copper peptide in the body. And like I said, I would heavily recommend doing research on that because peptides are really learning a lot about that. It helps activate the stem cells in our body. The other one that I really love is called Eon. And what Eon does is it helps with the inflammation. So, as I said, if inflammation is eating stem cells and you're trying to produce more stem cells, you certainly want to give it every opportunity to do that. And Eon is also one of those patches that helps decrease stress and inflammation as well. The first time I ever used this patch was on a long road trip from Connecticut to South Carolina. And I had called someone in LifeWave and I said, "What's the best patch I can use? I get so stressed out when I do these long drives all the time." And they said, "Put an Eon patch." And no joke, by the time I got down there, I was like, wow, I really was much more calmer on that drive. And it was just so subtle. It's so subtle. It's not like a medication where it just sort of hits you, or maybe I couldn't have even driven. But with something like that, it was, if you're having a stressful day or you're going to be doing some things stressful, then it's definitely a good patch. And it's just a good overall patch. I mostly swap off every day with the X39 patch and that Eon patch.
Mhm.
Another one of my favorites is, as I said, for detox is the glutathione. That's kind of the master antioxidant, the master detox in the body. That one we really only recommend 2 to 3 days a week. And some people, they really are affected and they'll maybe take it off halfway. They can feel a little bit more of a detox because we all detox very differently. Let me see, I'm going in my head now. So then there's the carnosine one. Carnosine is a natural that we produce in our bodies, and that helps protect all of our organs and our telomeres. And our telomeres are also an indicator of longevity. So
Right.
there's that one. The original patch that they came out with was Energy Enhancer. So the owner, who's also the founder and the science behind all of these patches, so Energy Enhancer was his first patch, and he had gotten a government contract, and his task was to help Navy SEALs on submarines stay up for long periods of time without being groggy, without stimulants and amphetamines and that kind of stuff. So they had to stay up for long periods of time and still be alert and with it, not, dozing off. And the Energy Enhancer was not only the patch for them, but that was also the patch that launched the company as well. and it's been used in Olympians and, all kinds of sports figures out there, from tennis to NFL and basketball and swimming and all kinds of things. So there's a big sports crowd out there that love the energy enhancer.
Sure.
Now I'm thinking. And then there's one of my favorite patches is called Alavita. And that's one, as you said, that you can measure with Alavita. You can actually, it's like some kind of like color imaging, and it's on my website, but it's like a color imaging. And within like 5 minutes, your whole body your aura turns like this teal kind of color. It's pretty cool that it works really well. But that Alavita helps boost collagen, helps with skin. And the Alavita is actually the one that I mentioned that helped rebuild that collapsing vein, that varicose vein. So that's a really amazing patch. And if you put it on your third eye, it'll actually help decalcify your pineal gland as well.
Oh, okay.
There's a little bit of help with.
Very cool.
And then we also have a pain patch, which is called Ice Wave. And that's another 2-patch system where basically you're trying to like almost break the connection of pain in the body. You're using it on opposite sides of the body. And that'll break the connection of pain. And when we break the connection of pain, then that helps reduce inflammation and it helps us heal and repair within. Then if you're having trouble with sleep, we have a Silent Nights patch that helps people with sleep. We have it. And then the actual newest patch isn't the X39, it is the X49. And the X49 is a really cool patch. That patch can actually act as a Faraday cage for our body, and it is clinically proven to help increase bone density. And that's especially good for women who have osteoporosis.
Oh,
It
sure.
also helps boost testosterone. So men really love that patch. It helps with strength and building muscle. And that kind of stuff. So that's also another amazing patch. And then we do have an AccuLife patch, which is for horses. So there's a horse line, and it's very much similar to our pain patch. There's just like a little bead in it, just made for horses.
Wow, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I think there's about 10 or 12. I'm trying to think if I forgot any of. Oh, and then
Well, that's quite. I mean, I can't remember them all, but I'm going to go to the website and check them all out now.
and then
I didn't
SP6.
realize there was that much
Yeah, like I said, about
choice here to
about
choose
about
from.
10 or 12 of them, and the last one is the SP6 patch. And the SP6 patch helps with hormone balancing and appetite control and craving control. And that works right on the that's actually the placement for that one is right on the SP6. And when you look, each patch has its own recommended patch placements, and those are recommended patch placements because that's where their research and their studies have been on.
Speak a little bit more, if you would, please, about the hormone patch and what it specifically is addressing. Would it be addressing declining testosterone or or what? Yeah.
Yep. So the SP6 patch that actually helps like balance out our hormones. So if you think of me with PCOS, right? So what causes all those kind of things? It's our hormones that are really out of balance, and our hormones like are very much signal senders throughout our
Right.
body. So it helps bring those back into balance. The same thing when we have cravings. When we're craving sugars and things like that, it's often a hormonal imbalance as well. Because you're craving something, so you shouldn't really be doing that. And honestly, we're throwing our hormones off balance all the time. And I'm sure with EMS and, a lot of hormone imbalance and eventually can lead to the C word that we're not supposed to say. So a lot of that is caused by hormonal imbalances as well. But I think plastics affect our hormone balance, the EMFs. There's so much.
The estrogen that's in all of our water now that doesn't get filtered out of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
The stuff that's put into our foods now. So it's like all this stuff that they're adding to everything is just it's not supposed to be there. So it's just like anything else. Like our body just doesn't know what to do with it. And it's sending signals. It's not sending signals. It's just all crazy.
This is kind of.
Oh, I was going to say, even I've learned that women in the U.S. particularly, like we shouldn't be even going through menopause the way that we do. It should not be so harsh. Whereas in other countries where it's more balanced or even years earlier, like that was not, women didn't have as much of a problem going through menopause. And it's because of all of that stuff.
This is kind of off topic, but I thought it's kind of on topic, but I just heard the other day, it was kind of interesting that, when we come back in the next lifetime, we're always going to be the opposite sex. So as you get older, they say you start that transition into the opposite sex. As you get older, for men, your testosterone gets lower. You get man, boobs or this or that, and then the women get the facial hair as they get older, and so it kind of makes sense. But
I had not heard that. That's new to me. And speaking of hair, we've actually had with our X39 patch and the Alavita, a lot of men are not just regrowing hair, but going from gray to, the salt and pepper. In fact, the woman that you met at the show that we met at, her hair was snow white when I met her. And now just a year in, her hair is very salt and pepper.
Well, I
So
think that's, I don't think we should be coloring our hair. I think that's a very important element of our vibration is our hair. And it's a very spiritual aspect of ourselves. We shouldn't be poisoning our hair,
I know, and I do it.
I used to as well. And then I went all natural. And, well, actually, then I went to, what is the natural dye called?
Henna?
Henna. Yeah, I
Henna.
used henna for a while too, and I loved it, but it was just a mess. And I'm like, how much time do I spend doing my hair, doing my makeup, doing all these things that I would rather just not do. So
Yeah.
I just let my hair's all natural now, and I'm like embracing the little grays that I do have.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing. I have to say I'm not there, but that's okay. And one day I will get there. As of right now, I'm not really sure how much gray I've gotten or lost because I just keep coloring it.
well, that's why one reason I stopped. I kind of wanted to see because that is an aspect of your health. You can tell if you're lacking in copper usually by the grayer, the whiter your hair is. So that's a big out. I mean, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sure
and
there's other things that you could tell from there as well, but
exactly. And speaking of copper, that's one of the things that the X39 is helping us because we're elevating the GHK copper peptide in our body. And I think it's one of the things that they've sneakily taken away from us, saying that we don't need copper. And we really do need
yes.
copper in our bodies. In fact, I had a lady on my podcast who's also uses the patches, and we did a whole episode on how a lot of times people's blood tests will show that they're anemic, but actually they're copper deficient because what copper will do is to get the copper, it'll steal from your iron. So it was a very interesting conversation on actually how depleted we are and copper. And figure now, most people have PEX pipes or whatever, but it used to be all copper piping in people's homes as well.
Yeah. We had Matt Roski on before, and he talks a lot about the importance of copper.
Oh, it's
Um,
amazing. I would love to listen. I would listen to that.
well,
So
Charlie actually used to make tensor rings, and he
That's
sold his
right.
business tensor ring probably a few years ago now. It's been right.
It's been more than a few that I
Has
stopped.
it?
But it's been about 5 years now. So,
Well,
but anyway, uh, that's it. I mean, they're all great technologies. I'm interested, actually, Michelle, in finding out since, to me, how do people get involved in this sort of stuff? How did the owner come to develop this technology, find the need or the desire to do that?
So as I said, he had started with this Navy contract for the Navy SEALs, and that was his initial into it. And he had always been into learning about like frequency in the body. And he often tells this story as a kid. He would see his grandparents and stuff and aging, and his whole sort of like, value became, wow, I don't want to age and sort of like just not be healthy. I want to like be aging and just be able to live life to its fullest, no matter how old I am. So his ultimate drive was really the anti-aging sort of principle that underlined it. And I believe it took him 7 years to really figure out with all the patches that he had and the technology that he had come up with was how to trigger your own stem cells. And I think that's the biggest beauty. We're triggering our own stem cells. So it's our own body, our own sort of DNA, our own code, our own specific makeup that we're triggering our own stem cells from. So we're not
so
letting anybody else's in or anything like that.
Well, I know one of the technologies that Carol looked at. I mean, she did have this done. You could either harvest your own stem cells, which is, just so the audience knows, it's painful. Uh,
Yes, I've heard that.
but you could also purchase stem cells from another person, like from a an umbilical cord. Uh, and so I've always wondered whether, and I don't know if you have any thoughts or perspectives on that, whether using another person's cells is really the optimal solution. She opted to use her own for those kinds of reasons, and it worked. But I would think that you'd want to, that it might be better to use your own cells.
Yeah, that would be my issue as well. And I think there's a lot of ethical concerns around
Yes.
stem cells and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people and there's a lot of controversy on that. And I get all of that 100%. So I think people are more comfortable, and it's just a simple little patch. I mean, it's as simple as just sticking it, just sticking it on your body and letting it do its own thing. And you
Thing.
are using your own body, your own energy, your own, it's going out and it's tapping into your own nervous system, your own energetic system, and finding out what inside Michelle is not optimal. What is the most critical issue that she needs? And I actually even forgot to mention is that you get unexpected results as well. One of my biggest unexpected results for myself was, and I can't believe I didn't mention it, was my eyesight has actually increased by zero point 0.5 in each eye, which was significant for me. And I could tell just over about a year and a half or so ago, maybe 2 years at this point, I had noticed that the current prescription that I had, it seemed like I was over, it was like, man, everything's over magnifying. I really can't see. And I ended up pulling out an old prescription of glasses because sometimes I have a hard time throwing away glasses for whatever reason. Who knows? But and I was like, oh, I can see a little bit better. And sure enough, I made an eye doctor appointment, and when she gave me my new prescription, I went from negative 4.5 to negative 4 and negative 1.5 to negative 1.
Wow.
And I know that's a big discrepancy with my eyes, but I had a like retinal detachment I was like I think 3 years old. So I was very small when that happened. But I'm sure it's also working on that scar tissue because one of the things that your stem cells will help work on is scar tissue as well. But yeah, that was a pretty significant improvement for me. That was very unexpected. I didn't start using the stem cell patches thinking, oh, my eyesight's going to improve. Like, it wasn't really a thought for me, but it was
Yeah.
definitely a very, very noticeable benefit that I'm not going to complain about.
Now, do most of your customers stay on these patches? It may depend on what they're using them for, obviously, but do you stay on them for the rest of your life? Do you use them for a month, sometime how does that work?
Yeah, I get that question a lot with another question that I'll actually answer with that.
Okay.
So, like we said, we do say that, to really get your stem cells up and producing at a better rate, we recommend 1 month for every decade of life. Um,
Right.
and what I like to tell people, well, once you want to start aging again, you can stop using them. So,
Ah!
I'm going to kind of keep using them. And then the other question I get is that, so say, like, we'll go back to our cut. Like if I repair, so say I had something with my liver and now my liver is all back to good health. Is if I stopped using these, is it going to go back to the way it was? And it's like, well, no, you've already repaired that. And if we think about our skin example, if you cut yourself and
Hmm.
you heal over, unless you keep hitting yourself in the same spot, like that wound isn't going to come back. It's once
Right.
it's not going to come back. But could I do things? It's also like weight loss is a good one. A lot of people, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to lose weight or whatever. So now I've lost 15, 20 pounds, right? So, okay, well, now I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing. Well, you're going to gain that weight back. Same
Right.
thing. Even if like a lot of people, if you're into heart health and stuff and you did a diet or whatever you did, now your heart's a lot healthier. Well, if you keep doing what you did before, then that thing's going to happen again. So, and I
Got
think that's just kind of common sense, but we don't really think about it that way. So it's like if you keep doing the things that you were doing before, then you'll probably end up with the same issue.
it. Go back to where you were, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, go back to where you were. We're such self-sabotaging beings, I think.
Well, we are. A question that just came up as you were talking. Telomeres are an indicator supposedly of our longevity, and they get smaller, and the smaller they get, the more advanced our aging is. Has there been studies about use of the patch with telomere length and all of that stuff? Is there data out there on that topic?
There is, and there's, I think, specific data with the X39 patch and the carnosine patch.
Okay.
There's studies on, and those can be found within my website as well. So there have been studies done on the length of the telomeres as well, which is pretty interesting. We like
I,
to, when we talk about the telomeres, we always use that, like the eraser on a pencil example.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, now I mean, have they tried to quantify? Probably not. An increase in longevity. The Russian pyramid research, as an example, Dr. Golod says that he expects people's longevity to increase 10 to 15 years by having pyramid fields around. So, all of this stuff is so fantastic. And I think,
Yes.
if,
Imagine wearing the patches in the pyramid.
yeah, well, there you go. Maybe we ought to try putting the patches in the pyramid before we use them and see if we can supercharge them or something. I don't know, but there's a
Pretty
whole bunch of ways of,
good idea.
yeah, of attacking this and seeing if we can't
Yeah.
get some real definitive results on it. So, well,
So,
that's
Michelle, can you tell people price wise, how much do they all cost different prices, or are they all the same? Like, how much do you have to invest on a monthly basis for somebody?
So the X39 and the X49, if you buy them as a preferred customer, or you can get them wholesale through me, they're $99.95 a piece. Or you can buy, once you start going, you could buy both of them for, I believe it's $179, and then you can get like 3-month maintenance plans for, so 3 months would say it's like $279. What we really like to do is encourage people to try them for 90 days. And there's a special 90-day offer where you can get 3 of the X39 patches for $299.95, or all of the other patches run about $79.95. But once you buy them in bulk, that price goes down, and that price can go down to as low as $50. So what I recommend people for that $299 is get 2 of the X39 sleeves, which look like this, and there's 30 patches in, so it's about a month if you use it every day, is to get 2 of these and 2 of those eons. You have about 4 months worth of patches there for the $299.95. Alternate them every day, and then just notice what happens. And I do like to tell people, for some people, the results are very profound and very quick. And for other people, they're much more subtle. But through the research and the patent, there is change happening in your body. And it's nice to know that we have a patent, and our patent actually specifically says for the X39 that it elevates the GHK copper peptide, which in turn activates the stem cells. And that is on my website.
Okay.
it
Good.
sounds like there's so many different uses for these patches that it might be a little overwhelming for the audience right now to get a grasp of that. So, I mean, if there were 2 or 3 things that you would say that somebody might be experiencing that would be a great reason to go do the patches, what would those be?
I would say if you have any immune issues,
Okay.
or any, I'm trying to use the right words, like nervous system issues, like, or if you have like MS or Parkinson's. So if you've got big issues going on and the medication that you're using isn't really working, I feel that these can be of a big help. If you're looking to boost your immune system, I think the patches are a really great place to start, especially if you've got inflammation in your body, controlling the inflammation with that body. The C word is also another issue for a lot of people. And I actually have a lot of people that have come to me that have said, I've gone to my doctor for whatever the issue is. They've tried 2 or 3 different things and nothing seems to be working, or I'm getting side effects from this thing that seemed to be working for this, but now I got that. I get a lot of people that are like that as well. So if you've kind of gone and you're sort of like, okay, they're not really helping me, so now I need to figure something else out.
If people have questions, I know they can go to your website, but do you answer questions that people have?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I always tell people, I mean, I'm not the science expert on this. I'm just a sharer of information on something that really helped not only me, but my family as well, and so many people that I care about. But
right,
I do have the resources to go to the resources that are there. Not to mention, we have a lot of functional medicine doctors, naturopaths, and a lot of people who have been in this for a longer time that they have the answers. So I trust them as well and their
great.
expertise and
Okay,
their opinions. And like I said, in the clinical research that we have as well.
sure, sure.
And all of Michelle's links are in the description below, guys, for easy access. You did mention you have a patch website. That is not in the description below, but can they find that through your website?
They can. I think I gave you my podcast website. So the patch information is definitely on there. And it is Patched Light, PATCHEDLIGHT.com. I must have had a little why I didn't send that. But I always send that sometimes because I do have the patch information on there as well. I
Okay.
like to keep it there for anybody that's interested. And don't hesitate to reach out, especially by text. I believe my phone number is on there, and I'm more than happy to shoot someone a text. Or if you have a question, um, I do believe I don't know everything, nor do I claim to be, but I have resources to people that do. And, we just all work together to help people get the answers that they want, that they're looking for.
Absolutely. And
Fantastic.
Michelle also has a podcast, guys, The Wealth Within Us. So check out her website. Check out some of the cool guests that she's had on there. She's on the same mission as we are. We're out to share all this information, to gather together as a community and start, sharing all of our experiences because we can't trust anybody besides ourselves, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
And
So,
I always have people, like you talk in your circles and you have people and you're like, oh, this is going on and this is going on and you can't trust this and you can't trust that. And people say, well, what can I do? What can I do? I can't do anything. And I always say to people, you know what you can do? You can get yourself the healthiest that you can get. You can build up your immune system because the stronger that your immune system is, the stronger that your health is, the stronger that your mind is, the stronger that your body is. That already, now you can go out and you can just do so much more and you can combat so much more of whatever's thrown to you. And then, like my podcast, build your wealth. That way you have more to share, and it seems to maybe some people counterintuitive, but the more healthy and the more wealthy that you are, the more you can share others, and that you can give back so much easier. When you don't have nothing, it's hard to give back so
Well,
much.
that's right. There's no doubt about that.
absolutely.
especially our
Well,
health especially our health and our mindset.
And I
what do
think
you
I
want
think our health and our mindset are the most important assets we have
I agree.
moving into what's going to be an extremely perilous time for all of us. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
unfortunately.
yep, definitely. But what would you like to leave everybody with, Michelle? What are your last words of encouragement for people and these suffering from this health crisis that we're all going through? We've seen it unfolding for the past several years, and more people are flocking now to natural healing, which is awesome.
I think I would like to leave people with, like, be open to new and different things. As I stated, when the patches first came into my life, for whatever reason I was like, I don't think these things are working. And I'm very honest and open about that. But just be open to try new things and to learn and do the research. And then it eventually clicks, and know that we can heal ourselves. In
Yep.
the
Yeah,
end, we can heal ourselves.
that's true.
Absolutely. That's what we were designed to do. But thank you, everybody, for being with us today. We'll have Michelle back on again soon, I'm sure. She has lots to talk about and a lot to share. Did you have any last words or anything, Charlie? Any final thoughts for the day?
No, I'm good. I just appreciate Michelle's time, and I'm going to be looking at some of these products myself and checking them out. And I hope you'll do the same thing.
Absolutely. Lots of love to everybody. See you next week.